He is preparing his next painting, a still life with a Renault 4, the German electronic group Kraftwerk, a goldfinch and a pineapple. "I love pineapple," he says in his soothing northeastern accent. "You know, pineapple is great on ham, on its own and in a drink." The slightest perfect break. It is a very versatile fruit. "I don't know what to call it." He is famous under the name of Vic Reeves for his gloriously absurd and anarchic comedy shows. His mom calls him Rod, his middle name. In the 1980s, he appeared at parties as Jim Bell, one of his many stage characters. His wife, Nancy, and his comedy partner, Bob Mortimer, call him Jim number 8211. His real name is Jim Moyer. That's what he wanted to be featured like in The Big Flower Fight, the new reality show that he PR. But despite his efforts over the years to escape Reeves, that did not happen. It's Reeves. The Big Flower Fight is Netflix's response to the well-used format of taking up a healthy hobby and making it a grueling competition. These are not flower arrangements, but giant living flower arrangements number 8211. In the first episode, the 10 creative couples make giant insects decorated with a whole nursery of plants. There is a lot of chicken wire and foam. The winning team will have a sculpture installed at Kew Gardens. Reeves, who hosts the show with the actor and actor Nastasia Demetriou, considers himself primarily as an artist. He thinks of it as a spectacle of art rather than gardening. "I love to see people create," he says. "It is watching people who are passionate about creation, and there is also a lot of drama in it." "I didn't say a punch, but there were words. It's not about making a bouquet of delphiniums look pretty in a vase. You have big metal frames and solder. Then the beauty that comes out at the end is incredible." "It's sometimes quite brutal. Things are going wrong. When things collapse, it's heartbreaking, but it's a big drama." He laughs, delighted. "Is he ever presented with a reality show? I mean, it's really easy. If you're really into it, what I was, then it turns you on." Reeves, 61, appears to be a grumpy old man and a childish buffoon. He has no computer or email. A few years ago, I started to send postcards to people, because I thought it was a good thing to do. And I got text messages from people, which is awful, right? But the other day, he was desperately trying to make a headstand, and failed. I think it's probably more because of the huge mass that I have. Reeves and Mortimer presented their surreal comedy on television with Vic Reeves' Big Night Out, which began on Channel 4 in 1990. as well as Mortimer and their sidekick in a lab coat, Leigh. They moved to the BBC in 1993 with The Smell of Reeves and Mortimer number 8211. The bigger budget meant less shambolic DIY charm, but even more baffling glimpses of their imaginations number 8211, then, in 1995. Their work was like nothing else, unless you were a Dadaist hanging around Cabaret Voltaire in the 1910s in Zurich. Part of it is because Reeves didn't watch any of his comic peers. That's what made him unique, because you do it from a totally naive point of view. He grew up in Darlington, on the outskirts of the city number 8211. His childhood was spent running in the fields and collecting bird eggs. His first double act was formed at school with another boy named Rod. We created our own comedy. As far as I can remember, we did. I didn't really watch TV, so there was no influence. I like to attack subjects without any prior knowledge of anything. If he wanted to watch TV, he had to talk to his parents, who would decide whether it was worth it or not. Have they never sat together and watched television? The entertainment on Saturday evening was as horrible as it is today, he laughs. After school, Reeves began learning mechanical engineering in a factory. He wrote in his autobiography, Volume 1 number 8211, he says he still intends to do Volume 2, that older men looked like they were slipping into a kind of boredom-induced madness. Reeves left in the 1980s, moved to London, and started running clubs in pubs and bars. One was a classical music club, which was a terrible failure. Another in the West End appeared to be made up of. When a friend asked him if he wanted to take over his comedy club, Reeves agreed. Instead of reserving the acts, he thought it would happen to see if I could get away with it. Does he remember the first show he did? I had a cardboard box with a photo of Sylvester Stallone on the front. He's laughing. It was really like a performance piece. This is where the character of Vic Reeves emerged. I think my idea was that I was going to play some sort of fellow Northern Labour club, that sort of thing. I thought a good name was Vic Reeves, who was like Vic Feather, the boss of the union at the time. He was General Secretary of the TUC from 1969 to 1973. In a matter of weeks, Jools Holland had spotted him and put him on his television show The Tube. He moved to a larger location number 8211, Goldsmith's Tavern in New Cross, South London number 8211, where he met Mortimer, then a lawyer, who came to see the show. It was kind of like self-service, so I made Bob do things there. Reeves and Mortimer were part of the comedy boom in the 90s. The phrase was "comedy is the new rock and roll, and we've always been on the cover of NME," says Reeves. They have made the cover twice and have been featured regularly in the magazine. Because we referred to modern pop culture, we were the favorite of independent children. They've even become pop stars themselves. Tommy Rose Dizzy's version of Reeves, recorded with Wonder Stuff, came in at number 1, while Reeves and Mortimer, and EMF, hit number 3 with a cover of Monkeys. On tour, he said, "You would be in a hotel, like Liverpool, and outside the hotel, there are about 300 kids screaming and screaming. How were they rock and roll? Was there any drink? Medication? Oh yes. Lager was our main vice. Lager and fag, very working class. Is it true that they took a gun on tour? Mortimer told comedian Richard Herring when he appeared on his podcast. Yes, we did. There were just blanks in there, but we used a number 8230. He stops laughing. Whenever they crossed a border, or sometimes a county line, we fired a pistol. When we went to Scotland, he was fired several times. Why? I do not know. Shooting a gun with blanks is a lot of fun. The gun came from a military fair, he thinks. We also received dynamite. I do not know where it comes from. I remember we had an office with Jules Holland in Greenwich and we set off a rocket. He flew away, went haywire and entered through the bathroom window of Billy Idol's father. The combination of events is so strange, so Reeves, that I don't know if he's making it up. But we both laugh. Have their antics. Number 8211, drinking, deception. Number 8211, ever gotten out of hand? No, I don't want to drink that much, he says. Reeves and Mortimer went back on tour a few years ago and barely drank. In the 90s, you had a drink, then the next day you felt bad and you had a drink to feel better. It was pretty depressing, really. You get old and it's great. Number 8211, you go, let's go and take a detour to this pork pie shop. He saw comedians become superstars and sell arena tours, but he didn't feel envious. Two things about people who make arenas, he says. They love money and they love worship. And Bob and I are neither of these people. They performed in an arena in Leeds and I thought, we are not really in touch with anyone here, he said. Mortimer said that Reeves was quite shy and that it was difficult to get to know him at first. Is it correct? We both are, he says. If you've gotten into pop psychology, you might suggest that Reeves number 8211, the daring nerd of anarchy number 8211, was a bit of an outlet for its quieter creator, but Vic Reeves is not a character I would like to be like. He started out as some sort of boastful northern club buddy, then ended up as a really gaume-free idiot. Vic and Bob are pretty stupid. Vic is a little more stupid than Bob. The friction of Reeves' thighs towards the women invited to Shooting Stars was always supposed to be uncomfortable, but these days, it seems unacceptable. Yes, he says. I don't even know what it means. I think it was kind of lascivious anticipation. When he appeared on Celebrity MasterChef in 2017, many people on social media were incredulous that Vic Reeves was not his real name. People think him the one who does Shooting Stars and Big Night Out, and that's who I am, he says. How much of his personality is in Reeves? Absolutely none. He is the anti of what I am. His double act and that of Mortimer survived, he says, because it's completely democratic. If an idea is suggested and falls silent, it is swept to one side without any regret. They never fell. We are the least argued people of all time. They're supposed to make a movie together in October, something they wrote about 10 years ago about Michael Jackson's White Glove, which is the holy grail for collectors. It's like looking for the holy grail, but we know where it is and we have to get it. It's all about memories of celebrities as a religion. Reeves took acting jobs number 8211. He was on Coronation Street, which he never misses, for a few months number 8211, but says he never had the ambition to become a solo comic. I could never stand alone and speak to an audience. It would be awful, I couldn't bear to do it. His voice goes up. It looks terrifying. With Bob and I, we just play small pieces. He still doesn't follow comedy or the politics around it. Number 8211, like the idea that there are things you shouldn't be joking about. When people say you can and can't say things, I don't know who the authority is, he said. As long as you're nice, as long as you don't disturb anyone. But it's a natural thing, isn't it? I would never do anything if I thought it was going to upset anyone. He wants to return to his painting. The one with the pineapple came to him when he was in a dream state. I wake up in the morning with a new idea. Number 8211. That's how my paintings really exist, half asleep. The Big Flower Fight will be available on Netflix on May 18.